In this lesson, I'd like to teach you how to comp creatively over a major 2-5-1. If you're comping over a 2-5-1, currently sounds like this. I'd like to teach you how you can add some more chords and movement so you get something like this. If you'd like to get a PDF with all these examples, then please check out the link below to my Patreon page. If you're new to this channel, then my name is Jamie Holroyd, and if you're new to jazz guitar, then I have a free beginner jazz guitar guide which will help you get started learning jazz guitar. Let's get on with the lesson. Okay, so for all these examples, we're going to be talking about a 2-5-1, what's called a long 2-5-1 in the key of C. So that means D minor 7 for a bar, G7 for a bar, C major 7 for 2 bars. And I'm going to be teaching you how you can basically add more harmony to create more movement and be more creative. Now, what I've purposely done here is try to keep the harmony as diatonic as possible, because, you know, once you start putting chromatic 2/5s in, tritone subs and things that can eventually morph into something like moment's notice, that's all cool, but you've got to be very careful with how you use some of those kind of really far out 2-5-1 ideas. So basically what I've tried to do here is, pick examples from repertoire which are fairly diatonic to the key of C that you can use hopefully in more musical situations, so you're not the guy that puts that weird chord in at the jam session that everybody looks at. Okay, so what we're doing here then? Well, the first example that I've got written down is we've still got D minor 7 to G7. The first few examples keep those two chords exactly the same. But instead of just playing C major for 2 bars, what we're now going to do is move up the harmonized major scale. So we're going to go C major, D minor, E minor, then back to D minor. So if I play this slowly in time just so you can hear it, we're now going to have a 2 chord, 5 chord, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2 minor again, 5 chord, 1, 2, 3, 2. And that, doesn't cause any problems because you're just playing up the harmonized major scale. You can do any kind of variation of that, really. One that I personally like to do when I'm using that is I'll go D minor 7, G7, C major, D minor, and I'll just stay on the E minor because I think the E minor leads nicely into the D minor. I'll play that one round twice just so you can hear it. So D minor 7, so that's basically the first way in which we can start to add some passing chords to comp creatively over a major 2-5-1. The next example is creating a back cycle to the 2 minor 7 chord. So in the key of C, the 2 minor 7 chord is D minor. And the back cycle is basically a way of kind of, once you get to the major 7th chord, back cycling to set up that 2 minor 7 chord. So you can do this in a very simple way. So what we usually see in many lead sheets and many tunes is we'll just see 2, 5, 1 chord, 5 of 2. So 5 of 2 in the key of C, D minor is 2, and 5 of 2, the secondary dominant, is A7, but sometimes you can put like a flat 13 on that, or a flat 9, just to kind of add some crunch to resolve to a minor 7 chord. So yeah, in its simplest way, you've got D minor 7, G7, C major, A7. C major 7. You can also do this thing where you play a C sharp diminished 7 in that last bar, and that's the same thing as an A7 flat 9. So you're not really kind of, changing anything about that by doing that. You just have the chromatic voice leading of C major, C sharp diminished 7, then D minor 7, if that's what you want. What I've got on the PDF is what I refer to as the Satin Doll turnaround. So Satin Doll is a song that starts on 2 minor 7. And then basically at the end of the tune, you've got a bit of a turnaround there to 2 minor 7 again. So it's in the key of C, and what Satin Doll does is when it gets back to C, it goes down chromatically. So you go C major 7 for 2 measures, B flat, then A7, and then you're back at D minor 7 as well. So I'll just play the A section, I'll comp the A section of Satin Doll just so you can hear it. And it's a nice sound, it's kind of a bluesy sound, moving all those dominants. And you can kind of look at that and be very kind of jazz theory based over something like that and think that there's tritone subs going on and stuff like that. And there is. Or you can just think, okay, I finish on C, I need to get to A, and we have these chromatic notes in between. So you could just simply do that. Now if we apply that to our example here of a long 2-5-1, we now have D minor 7, G7, C, B, B flat, A, D minor 7, G, C, B, B flat, A, and that's exactly what we've got for that example. Now, in the next example, we're doing something that I consider a rhythm changes walk up. So once we get to a C major 7, this time we're going to go to sharp 1 diminished, then 2 minor 7, and then sharp 2 diminished. Once again, you're just kind of creating cadences here. One chord, this chord, C sharp diminished 7, is the same thing as A7, but we've got an A7 flat 9. But we've got a C sharp in the bass, which gives us a perfect 5-1 cadence into D minor. A D sharp diminished is the same thing as a B7 flat 9, and then if you're going into E minor afterwards, that's basically the same thing as C major anyway. It's kind of like a C major 9 type of sound. So that's why this one works. So I'll play it just so you can hear it. So we've got 2, 5, 1, sharp, 2, sharp. Okay, and that's how this one works. And you can of course interchange any of these examples. So you could perhaps one time just do a long 2-5-1 with the Satin Doll turnaround. And then so we're starting to get a little bit more creative, and we're not just playing that C major 7 for 2 bars. However, that being said, on the last example which I've got here is basically some movement on the 2 and the 5 chords. So this example, I'll just play it first and I'll talk about it. So the last example sounds like this. So what we now have is movement on the 2 and the 5 chord. We're starting with a D minor with C in the bass, D minor with the 5th in the bass, G7, then G9 with the 3rd in the bass, and then we're going to a C major 7. Okay, so we're creating effectively a harmonized bass line, right? So how do you go about getting the chords to that kind of thing? Well, if you know you drop 2 chords, if you don't know those, I have a full course about them on my website, Jim Horroy Guitar, which you can check out. All you basically have to think about when you're doing that is that the guitar has 2 E strings. So any note that's on the bottom E string can be put on the top E string. And then you get 4 drop free chords. And you can use any of those when you're comping to create more movement in the bass. So you could start with like D minor 7 with the root, drop it down to the 7th, G7 flat 9 with the 3rd, G7 flat 9 with the flat 9 in the bass, and then resolve to the C major with the 5th in the bass. Which is a nice way to create movement as well. So that's the last way, is basically using drop free chords to try and create some movement in the bass. And hopefully all these ways will help you or inspire you to look at a few different options when you're comping over a 2-5-1 in the key of C. So what you really need to do is explore these, and what you should be able to do is really comp for a couple of minutes 2-5-1 in C and not burn out of options. You know, maybe if you can do a minute or a minute and a half and entertain yourself and keep it swinging and keep it interesting, that really is going to make you, you know, an effective accompanist, really. The most important thing though is kind of keeping it simple and being a supportive accompanist. You know, if you keep it too busy all the time, then that's not good either. There may be the odd time where you just want to leave it as C major 7 for 2 bars, so don't kind of, you know, write that one off. In terms of techniques, then you can do kind of the 4-2 bar thing. I've been using a mix of techniques throughout this video, but certainly there are other things you can do as well, like walking bass lines can really add some nice movement to your comping in the key of 2-5-1 in C. So I hope this lesson helps you out. If it did, please give the video a like, and if you enjoyed the content from this channel, then subscribe to this channel so you get all the updates on when I've got new lessons. And of course, thank you as always to my wonderful Patreons that help support these lessons and keep them going. Thank you for watching.